of the academic year. I was hoping some of you would go, oh, but I guess it's just me that's wet white to think about something. Just a few notices before we start. Thanks to NUTV, we are currently being live streamed. We are also being recapped as well, so just be aware of that. When it is your time to speak, please stand if you are able to and say your name for the purpose of the minutes and so that we all know who you are. Our Twitter wall isn't displaying, but do still tweet anyway with the hashtag NUSU Council. And just some general advice, as always, please be courteous to each other, both here and online. Remember, don't tweet anything you wouldn't want your gran to see. So, without further ado, we will get started. This is for next year's steering committee.
It's kind of important, I'm not going to lie.
Don't worry about that. Angela, can I have one, please? Yep. Thank you very much. Michael, if you just want to pop your name on there. Can I have your clicker? What's your list for it so I can...
Oh yeah, you have that power now. I don't.
Actually, don't worry too much about
1, 2, 3, 4.
Can you pass it over to me? Thank you. Thank you very much. I sort of read out everyone's name and then say to approve these people as members of the steering committee, raise your vote and click them.
And then just approve tonight, and then just go that pass, and then just smack it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read the names of these this week? That is that 7 positions available for that. Do we have video here to explain scrutiny?
Don't think so.
No, we don't.
Oh, Gillian will do it.
Right. Awesome. Right, that would be lovely if you could just.
Gillian, Sam, and I'm on scrutiny committee. We look at minutes of the meetings that happen within the Students' Union. Make sure that any actions that are carried forward have happened and just check for anything that looks strange or untoward and report on it.
Awesome, lovely. So there are 7 positions available. So again, there'll be forms over there if anyone's interested. Go wild, maybe.
Again, make sure you're here next year because this is for next year's scrutiny committee.
So you're just going to go.
Yeah,
Go
I
on,
am.
just
But
do
I
it.
will take one. This scrutiny committee is all about holding our officers to account. So I think if that's something you're interested in, scrutiny committee would be a great committee to join. And I've just put myself forward for it. So if you want to hang out with me for an extended period of time, please go for it. Like, don't all come at once. There's only so much of me to go around. It's just me. Why not?
Yeah,
Why
well,
not? I'll
works.
watch your backs.
Not, I mean, as if there's not enough pressure for me already. You decide to do this. Wonderful. So we've just got Sam. Again, it'll be the voting clickers. Can everyone raise the voting clickers to pass? Anyone against? Any objections or abstentions? No. That's that. Right, now we have to elect the student representative for the Senate. Could I ask Simon possibly to explain this role?
Yeah, basically, 3 of the sabbatical officers automatically get onto the Senate because they're sabbatical officers, and that's how the university's constitution is written. But there is one space for a student union councillor, for the kind of student representative voice. It's probably the highest committee that you can get onto in the university and represent, so it's quite a sought-after position sometimes.
So if anyone wants a position Senate, again, just come up to the front. Everyone wants to be the Senate, it seems.
Oh, I was going to go for this one, but I didn't think I will. Shall we hand out some papers? Because more of you have applied than there are places. Obviously, you're going to need to have 1 minute and just explain why you think you'll be good at the position. Yeah? Hyatt, you can't run for this. Oh yeah, no, you can't because you're already an officer. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. No,
You can't have too much
yeah,
power.
you can't. Sorry.
Second vote again, it's just the people who've
Got voting clickers.
Any
Yeah.
vote.
So, okay, so we're going to need to do a paper vote for this. So if you have a voting clicker, please raise your hand, and Angela will give you a bit of paper to vote. Oh, should we go and
Put
hop?
the names down, okay? I'll do a slide with the names.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. You can go back to where you were, but
to
just
you.
stand up from there. So if you get people to stand in the order that Kay puts them on the screen,
I will do.
and then say a minute, I will time them for you. But you've got your watch.
Yep.
Okay.
Old school. Listen, in
just
fact,
like-
let me just get my phone out as well. Because, you know, you can't have too much technology.
Can I just check these with you, Sam?
Yes.
Bradley, Bash,
Bash, is that? What's your last name? Bush. Cool.
change that. Is that on the left?
Yeah.
And Jordan Scudder.
Yeah.
Right, Bush.
Will you get one as well? Put them hands forward. Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
you
you
can.
can. As long as they've got
You get a
clickers.
chance to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
What?
don't just go for blind vote, but we do get a chance.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna-
Start up, yeah. Okay, so you start with Bradley, and then Saffron, and then Jordan.
Shall I give it a minute? That's right, I'll let John sit down.
Let everyone write the names down. If you ask everyone to write the people's names down.
Right, so we have 3 candidates for one position. We've got Bradley Bush, Saffron Kershaw, me, and Jordan Scudder. Could you scribble those down on the voting paper that you've been given? I'll give you about now to do that. Right, so each candidate has 1 minute to explain or try to essentially sell themselves to you or explain why they're the best candidates. So if I could ask Bradley Bush to stand, and you've got 1 minute, I will start timing you whenever you say.
I'm Brad. I'm the next year's president of Investment Society and currently the president of Joint Honor Society. That was fun. I've been a school rep since, sorry, not an academic rep since I've joined the university. and I've recently joined the Society's Exec Committee. I make a lot of decisions with Rebecca currently, and I hope to do that again next year. I'm also part of the business school as well as the School of Maths, and that's because I do a joint honours degree, but that gives me a more broad approach to the university, and I feel like I represent more students than your average representative would. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Lovely. Can I now have Saffron Kershaw standing, and you've got a minute whenever you start.
Alright, okay. Hello everyone, I'm doing an MA in film next year, so I'll be here, just to check. I've had a heavy involvement in NUSU and university meetings and campaigns and committees. I've been the Marginalised Genders Officer this year and made notable change, institutional change as well. And I just really want to carry on doing that because I'm not a PTO next year. I want to have that choice, that opportunity to give marginalised students a voice as well in such a powerful and committee that's up there and make some real change. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good. I will ask Jordan Scudder to stand and, yep, do exactly the same. You've got a minute.
Cool.
Go.
Hi guys, my name's Jordan. During my time at Newcastle, I've been president of the Core Society, senior exec for a sports team. I've been on the welfare committee. I've written for the Courier. I've dipped my toe in every part of university and student union life, and I've seen the amazing change people in this room have been able to bring about, and I'd just love to be part of taking that a step further, and hopefully I can represent all the students with their various interests. So thank you for your time.
To all three of you, if you could just now just vote in order of preference, 1, 2, 3. There is also the option to reopen nominations if you so wish.
And when you've filled in your voting slip, could you please fold it in half and raise it, and we'll come and collect it. I will go then. I'll collect them. I can't get out. Alright, okay. Can I give you mine? Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I got your vote though.
That's fine.
It's so
That's the way-
exhilarating.
I know, you've got a year of voting next year. Make the most of it.
So when they've all collected them in, just thank you very much, and the result will be emailed to you tomorrow. We've got Harris's here. Sorry. Thank you. If you want to explain yes, yes.
Sorry?
If you are explaining what the senior returning officer is, just sort of say our junior returning officer is Lindsay. Someone wants to appeal against the decision that Lindsay has made about whether it's a senior returning officer. That's like the most basic explanation you can sort of give. You do what?
What can I say? Talking to people is something I'm relatively good at. We good? Is that everyone?
You just ask,
Has everyone handed the paper in? Real good? Lovely.
Mine's getting to quiet. Oh, thank you.
That was fun. Thank you very much, everyone. Those votes will be counted, and the result of that will be emailed to you tomorrow. Got one last one, which is the senior returning officer. This individual, essentially, the junior returning officer is Lindsay, and if anyone appeals to a decision that Lindsay's made, this will go up to the senior returning officer. This has already been elected. This individual is Tom Bramold. I just have to, it's just another voting clickers pass or essentially deny that. So everyone voting clickers pass that. Anyone against? Any abstentions or objections? No, that's passed. Lovely. I am going to pass back over to Sam.
There you go.
That was fun. You'll have more of that next year.
Thanks very much, Errol. I think you did really well. So we're going to move on to reports now. Those are in the reports document if you've got a paper copy or if you've got them on your phone. So the first report that we need to vote on is the steering committee report. So it'll be the same process as all the others, just raise your voting clicker when I ask. So to approve the steering committee report, please raise your voting clicker now. And all those against? And any abstentions? Okay, that has passed. We'll move on now to the Disciplinary Committee and Scrutiny Committee report, which was received slightly later, but it should have been emailed to all of you. So to approve this, please raise your voting clickers now. And those against? Any abstentions? Okay, that has passed. We move on now to the State of the Union report, which will be the last one that Jack will deliver to us. So take it away, Jack. Please tell us what you've been up to lately.
Plug this on, Harris. I put this in, or is it all right? No. Hello, everybody. As Sam State of the Union report, that's absolutely flown by. For those that you don't know, my name is Jack, and the State of the Union report is basically a little update on some of the things that have been going on since the last council. It's not an exhaustive list at all, it's just the things that I think would be useful for the council to know. So this year we set out as an officer team basically to actually try and sort of have some face-to-face engagement with students, and just an update, that's total of over 5,500 students that we've had face-to-face interactions with. This is across numerous campaigns, outreach things that we've done. And next year, the next campaign we've got coming up is stressed out students, so we're hoping, obviously in the library it's a campaign where we do actually meet a lot of students and give away a lot of free fruit and highlights as well. There's a general election coming up, so we've been pushing people to register to vote. The deadline is Monday the 22nd of May, so that is this Monday coming, so please do register to vote. If you go to nusu.co.uk/register, there's all the information you need about the different types of votes you can cast, and also make sure you get it done in time for the election. We've had a lot of awards and recognition over the last couple of weeks. I'm sure many of you will have been at the awards. We had the Celebrating Success awards across 4 nights, and we had the Tees Awards the week before. Just to basically say a massive congratulations to all those that were nominated and won awards as well. They were really lovely events, all went really well, and it is just nice to celebrate some of the achievements that you guys have actually done this year. I've probably been banging on about this NICOT event as well, updating about that for quite a while. This was basically an inter-campus student conference that our colleagues in Malaysia organised. Just a feedback really, we went over early April, there was 8 students from the UK, and it was absolutely fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of how well the event went. It was stimulating, relevant, and the people that you meet are absolutely lovely. So next year, that's going to be, it was a pilot year this year, it's going to be rolling out to 20 UK students. With £250 this year was contributed towards flights for each person, and hopefully if budgets allow, that will happen again next year. So it's just really to recommend to anybody that is here next year, it's well worth sticking your name in the hat to get over there, and you get absolutely loads out of it. A couple of other things that some of the officers have been working on. Chris has been working on a recap report, which is really important for the student body. It's been a fact-finding exercise. Basically surveying as many students as possible to find out the implications of when recap isn't used, basically, and the results are absolutely fantastic, and that will hopefully be feeding into the university's recap strategy moving forward. There were close to 1,000 responses, which is pretty phenomenal for a student survey, so anybody that did partake in that, thank you very much. It'll help massively in hopefully making the changes that you guys want to see. Finally, this is relevant to Holly, there's a student parents survey that's gone out, not student parent, but the student parent and carers, and it was sent out across the university about the perception of the provision available. So again, thank you very much. There were around 100 responses to that, which was very good in context of that survey, and hopefully this again will start shaping the future direction that the university take. Final thing is grad ball, just to let you all know, Becca's trying to get rid of some more tickets, but they are selling incredibly quickly, and we've actually smashed last year's target as well already, so please do hurry up if you'd like to buy one. It's on the 12th of June, and you can find that on the website. The last thing I would like to say, really, this is from the officers and from myself as well, just a massive thank you to everybody for council this year. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think it's been chaired exceptionally, and I'm sure you'd all agree, so please do, if you get a couple of minutes after tonight at the party afterwards, just go and say thank you to Sam, because it makes a huge difference when it runs as smoothly as it does. And we've actually had some fantastic debates and demonstrated, in my opinion, what student democracy is all about. So from me and then the officers as well, thank you very much to everybody. I'm sure we'll carry on in the same vein tonight. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jack. So for the final time, we now need to approve that State of the Union report. So all those in favour, please raise your voting clicker now. And all those against? And any abstentions? Okay, that has passed. So we've got a couple more reports to do. Next, we're going to move on to the general reports and updates on mandates. There's quite a few of these, but we passed them all in a block. So I hope you've had a chance to look at them. If there are no questions or issues, we'll just move to a vote. So to approve the general reports and updates on mandates, please raise your voting clicker now. And all those against? And any abstentions? Okay, those have passed. And because it is the end of term and both the end of the year, we've got 2 more blocks to do. So firstly, we've got the part-time officer end of year reports. Again, all of these will be voted on in a block. So to approve the PTO end of year reports, if you have a voting clicker, please raise it now. And all those against? Any abstentions? Those have passed. And finally, the sabbatical officer end of year reports. To approve those, please raise your voting clicker now. And all those against? And any abstentions? Those have passed. Thank you very much. So we're going to move now to the questions to the sabbatical officers. So if I could invite the current sabbatical officers to stand by the lectern. Do you want me to say that, or are you going to say that? You can say it. Go for it.
Just to let you know, Rachel's not here. She's actually based on a training course or a conference at the university, which again is very, very vital as well. But if there are any questions, I'm sure she'll find you in there if we can't answer them for you.
Would you like to introduce yourselves, please?
Rebecca Walker, Activities Officer.
Jack Taylor, President.
Safe Matthews, Athletic Union Officer. Jade Holroyd, Editor of the Courier.
Chris Dudley, Education Officer.
Are there any questions to these sabbatical officers at this time? Please, but if you're over here, I can't quite see you very well, so please make yourselves known. Okay, if there are no questions, you can all take your seats. Thank you very much. Except you, Diddy, because I need to give you this, because it's our turn for questions. I'd now like to invite the part-time officers up to the front for their questions.
Okay, so it's same as before. If we can go from right to left, and if you can introduce yourselves.
Okay, Students with Disabilities Officer.
I'm Sam, I'm the Chair of Council.
Connie Levin, LGBT Plus Officer.
Saffron Kershaw-Me, Marginalised Genders Officer.
Hollywood House, Student Parents, Guardian Carers Officer.
Does anybody have any questions for the part-time officer? No. Okay, so you can sit down. Did I hit the?
Yeah.
So much fun. I know. I leave my clicker somewhere.
You leave your clicker on your seat?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. Doing really well, as always. So we're going to move on now to the motions. So if I can find them in my documents, we will start first with the constitutional motions. These are motions that require a 2/3 majority to pass. I'm still flicking. The first of these is the motion on updating the sabbatical officer job descriptions proposed by the SAB team. I believe Duddy is going to present this one. So if you could clip the microphone on here for me, thank you.
Okay. Do I start? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. It's just an update to the job descriptions. It wouldn't really be appropriate for me to come to the last council and not bring an administrative motion like this. So just continuing as I as I have throughout the whole year. We have the descriptions here. Basically, it wasn't a huge difference. We basically want to put them into a proper NUSU format. Previously, they were basically just a list, so we wanted to sort of professionalise them and make it clear for the incoming SABs exactly what they'll have to do, and for future people who want to go for the jobs, they'll have a clear sort of list of what they've got themselves in for. So,
thank you very much. Are there any questions for Chris? No. Okay, thank you very much. You can sit back down. Thanks, Chris. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for this motion? No? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the motion? Okay, in that case, we will move straight on to a vote. So if this is your first time with a voting clicker, I'll explain what you've got to do. If you want to vote for a motion, you press 1 or A. Against, you press 2 or B. And to abstain, you press 3 or C. So like I said, this is a constitutional motion, so it requires a 2/3 majority to pass. So if you wait for the countdown music, then please cast your votes. So that has passed. Congratulations to the sabbatical officers. So we'll move on now to our second constitutional motion. This is the motion on implementing a working class students part-time officer. And I believe that's going to be presented by Saffron and Holly. If you could come to the front, please.
Should we just hold this in the middle?
Just in between you, yeah.
Right. Hello, I'm Saffron and I'm the Marginalised Genders Officer.
And I'm Holly and I'm the Student Parents, Guardians and Carers Officer. This motion to introduce a part-time officer position to represent working class students has been a collaborative motion initiated by Amelia Webb and developed by other working class students.
Many assume that working class is merely an indicator of monetary income. However, class action stated that our class identity affects us on a personal and emotional level, not just in economic terms.
It is deeply rooted in our society to judge and oppress those who are seen as of a lower socio-economic background. Newcastle University ranked a low 130 out of 154 universities for state school intake in 2010. 30.8% of Newcastle University students were privately educated, compared to 7% of the general population. These statistics show the challenge working class students face in trying to enter higher education.
The working class students at Newcastle Uni are given an extent of support through the Partners Summer School programme and monetary aid such as the Hardship Fund and Emergency Fund, both of which I've used when I've been in times of crisis. However, very little support and, more importantly, representation is given beyond the summer school process throughout the rest of the degree. Many working class students aren't even aware of the Partners Initiative.
Having a student representative in place to create awareness and positive political action will let disadvantaged students know they are welcome and supported here. Many other unions in the UK, such as Manchester, King's College London, SOAS London and St Hilda's College Oxford, have recently appointed working class officer positions, and the University of York are currently preparing a motion to introduce one.
The sabbatical officer job descriptions make no mention of ensuring socio-economically disadvantaged students are represented, and the pre-existing widening participation coordinator within the NUSU is unknown to most students. This is in no way a criticism of the hard work that the SABs have already completed this year. It just shows that the structural representation for the working class just isn't present.
Let's ensure our disadvantaged working class students are supported, represented and validated through this part-time officer role. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you. Don't sit down yet. Are there any questions for Holly and Saffron at this point? Yes, Holly.
My name is Holly. I've got 2 questions. The first question is having a part-time officer the most effective way of bringing this issue to the fore, especially given that we've gone through a cycle of creative destruction of roles over time, because tomorrow we could discover that we have another issue that's at the front burner. Should we keep on creating part-time officer roles for these sort of issues? Can't we just make sure that we bring it to the fore in one of the rules of the SABs, which is linked to my second question, which is when you look at the council note, it says that 58% of students surveyed said they were underrepresented as working class students. Now, 58% of the population of people surveyed is a very, very huge number. That's more than half of the population surveyed. So this is even much more than just appointing a PTO officer. This goes directly to the culture of the student union itself. So my question is it's a better way not tackling the culture of marginalizing working class students rather than actually creating a PTO officer?
Well, this position in itself would be challenging the culture. It's there as a representation because, as I said in the speech, there's a proportionally a larger amount of people who come to this university who are privately educated. So that leaves less room for working class or socio-economically disadvantaged students. And the fact that there will be a student representative within place in the union, which is visible and which students can easily interact with, that's going to ensure that those students know that they are welcome. And also the issue about there just creating more and more part-time officer roles. I'd rather we have too many officer roles that are representing every single student than not enough.
Thank you very much. Are there any more questions for Saffron and Holly?
Why do you feel like the working class are represented and not fair to say that they're not?
We worked hard to get feedback on this from working class students. We conducted the survey. We have stories from working class students that told us they don't feel like welcome at university sometimes. They don't know where to look for representation. It isn't the title of working class students here at the moment.
And recently we've also looked and researched into Reclaim, which is a charity that have been actually targeting this directly, and they said 74% of working class students don't feel like welcome or represented in their institution, and that's a fairly recent study. It may be small, but that shows how it's just not visibilised in society, and it's not being challenged, and it would be great if we were a union who were the vanguard in that movement.
Thanks very much. Can I just remind everyone, if you are going to speak, can you please remember to say your name and wait for me to select you before you go ahead? I'll take one more question if there is one. Yes, James, go on.
I do entirely welcome the motion. I think it's a great idea. I was wondering, obviously you put in the motion that the person should, obviously the representative position, so they should represent the working class, so they should self-identify as working class. But unlike a lot of the other roles, it's very difficult. It's not really as tangible. So how would you, I wouldn't say police, but how would you go in making sure that the person in the position is representative of the working class?
I don't think it's about policing and saying you're not working class or whatever. We have set out like some ideas of the guidelines for that. So the partners criteria is quite a good one to look at. So if you come from, if you're the first person in your family to go to university, suggests you might be working class. Postcode is quite a good way to tell it. Free school meals, if you're in receipt of a bursary, they're good indicators that you might be working class, but I wouldn't say it's exclusively that.
Yeah, that's what Manchester University have done. They're only electing people who are in receipt of a bursary as well. So.
Thank you very much. You can now sit down. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for this motion? Yes.
I fully support this motion. I think it's a really good idea. From a very working class background myself, and I wish there'd been a working class PTO for the last 3 years. I should have thought of this myself. It's too often it is taboo to talk about class. I feel whenever people mention class divisions, people say, "Oh, you're being divisive," or "Why you bring that up?" or "You're just playing the grievance card. You've just got a chip on your shoulder." Well, I think that comes from a culture that doesn't understand how hard it is to be the first in your family, or to go to university, or to be from a culture that doesn't normally value education. I think this is really, really worthwhile. I think this could make a massively positive difference.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak against this motion? Yes.
Yeah. It's basically, actually, this is not, because I have a fantastic working relationship with both Saffron and Holly, and we've had this chat before. I've just got a couple of things I want to highlight that I think in the motion itself, because that's what we're voting on, by the way, with this. There are a couple of things that I think just need mentioning. So the motion with the appendix and the supporting evidence. In the evidence it says 58% of those in the survey felt underrepresented, whereas the bar chart in the annex shows that 47 respondents agreed, so the majority actually didn't agree that they felt underrepresented in the annex, and that was slightly different in the motion. More people disagree than agree that it has negatively impinged on the overall experience at Newcastle University as well, being working class. 37.8% agree and 42.5% disagree. I think it's really good that there's supporting evidence, but it's for me it's not come through a central channel that all working class students have had a chance to respond to. So whilst it does demonstrate there is something in that, absolutely, and as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm absolutely aware of the issues and that kind of thing and incredibly supportive of it. It's just the evidence that we are meant to be voting on as a motion, I'm not absolutely convinced with at the moment. Just to mention a couple of other things, the fact that I understand again the representation point of view, but it's clearly at the forefront of a lot of things that we do at NUSU. We've had a full-time member of staff who we were country leading in implementing initiatives such as getting working class students who are in receipt of bursaries, etc., into clubs and societies, and that has demonstrated over the last few years that they have a higher retention rate than those average students, regardless of class, proving that actually it is at the forefront. There are other things where we send sort of officers, and there are plenty of volunteers, over 200 volunteers going to 25 schools in the region to try and tackle this problem and empower working class people so that they can come to university. Finally, in my opinion, and I understand that it's not mandated any job descriptions. Irrelevant of where anybody's from, irrelevant of class, as a sabbatical officer or a part-time officer, your job is to represent students of the university first and foremost, and that should be central to everything. And actually, having that mandated, for me, it's irrelevant of what the class is, because that doesn't come into the question when we're sat in meetings representing students. It's the whole student body or a certain sector that affects more. So basically, as I said, I'm not saying no to this motion. I just want to highlight some things that I think need to be thought about by council before we decide one way or the other.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for this motion? Yes, with the red. Kelly, yeah. If you can, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty small. Yeah, no, I just wanted to echo what was said by, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the gentleman who spoke before, but just, yeah, just, I'm a first year student, and just when I started here, I experienced like a lot of classism in secondary school, and I didn't really expect university to be a reprieve from that, but it's still shocking the naivety of some middle class students here. And I think I've had a lot of conversations with other people in my year who are so happy that when they have questions about gender identity, they can speak to Saffron Marjorie Genders Officer, or when they want more information about disability or they feel like they're struggling with PECs, they can speak to Errol or Daniel, the Students with Disabilities Officer. But when people feel discriminated against because of their socioeconomic background, feel like they don't belong at Newcastle because of like who they are or like who they're perceived to be, they don't really have a person that they can see that they can like go speak to. And I feel like a lot of working class students would feel awkward to like bring that up with their personal tutor or something. So I think that creating this PTO officer role is a really good idea. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Is there anyone wishing to speak against the motion? Yes.
I want to say that I do agree with the principles of the motion itself, but according to the stats, it says 30-point-something% students are privately educated, which basically means the majority of Newcastle University students by that criteria fall into the working class block. And therefore, I think that this agenda should be more pushed from the Central SAP team to be included in what the union is about in itself, rather than creating a PTO role for that specific course in itself. Because then, one of the reasons why I was actually looking at the statistics is because I don't want a situation where we begin to create a dichotomy or differences in the way people perceive a particular issue. And I think that by actually making it at the front burner of NUSU itself, to actually tackle this issue, it's a much more effective way of doing that particular issue, rather than actually creating a PTO role for it. And like I said many times, like we've created lots of PTO roles, but there are some things that actually deal with the culture of the union itself. And I think actually tackling it from the root cause is a more effective way rather than creating extra roles for this particular stuff. So for that reason, I would say it's a very, very important issue, but the approach should be through the union itself as a whole to actually deal with this particular stuff.
Thanks very much. I'll take.
Point of information.
Yes.
Point of information, because 69.2 of Newcastle Uni students weren't privately educated doesn't necessarily mean that 69.2 of Newcastle University students are working class. That's all.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take one more speaker for and one more speaker against. So if there's anyone wishing to speak for the motion, please raise your hand. Yes.
Hi there, I'm Connor. I'm new to this, so you know I might be a bit wavy. You made some good points about the statistics there. I think, well, yes, maybe more people may disagree with the motion or disagree that they were feeling underrepresented. There's still a large proportion of people that are feeling underrepresented, and that needs to be sorted out. Working class students that came to this university are people that have far and beyond exceeded the expectations of the environment they come from, and therefore that should be at least commendable, and some representation should at least be given. This city has a very proud history of representing the working class, and while this as a university we have made some massive leaps in representing working class students and representing people from lower income backgrounds, we could still follow other great universities like Manchester and so on, to make this city proud to share the name of Newcastle with it. And I think this is a very great motion. So cheers to listening.
Thank you very much. And I'll take one more final speaker against the motion. Okay, if there isn't anyone, we'll just move straight on to a vote. Unlike the previous motion, this one requires a 2/3 majority to pass, so that will display on the screen as 66.7% or higher. So when you hear the countdown music, please cast your vote. Remember, 1 to vote for, 2 to vote against, and 3 to abstain. So that has not passed. So we will move on now to the ordinary motions. These motions don't require a 2/3 majority, they just require a simple 50% or more. So the first of these is on a clarification of the referenda cycle, and I believe that is Duddy again.
We'll just keep this on. Okay. Yeah, really, this is quite simple. It's just to clarify the meaning that we have in the wording in our constitution around referendums. Currently, the annex in our constitution mentions that we need to have a referendum every 3 years, particularly to the NUS. And the clarification here today is to ensure that every time we have a referendum, whether it be automatic or triggered by a petition, that the 3-year period clock, if you will, if that makes sense, basically resets. The reasoning is quite simple. It's a practical issue and a logical issue, given how long any referendum decision requires to be properly embedded. So that's basically it, but I'm happy to take any questions, that's all.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Chris? No? Okay, thank you very much. You can go and sit back down. Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak for this motion? And anyone wishing to speak against? No? Okay, in that case, we will move straight on to a vote. And like I said, this one just requires 50% or more to pass. So when you hear the countdown music, please cast your vote. So that has passed. Thank you very much. And I believe I need to invite Chris back up here again for the final motion of the day, which is on opposing expansion of the teaching day.
I really should have just
stayed
here. Yeah. Okay, this is genuinely my last motion, I promise, ever. Okay, so the motion on opposing the expansion of the teaching day, just to emphasise, this isn't supposed to create, panic, people going to panic stations about being in class for ages. So if the tab are in the room, don't worry lads, this isn't happening. Basically, the university have been looking at the use of the teaching estate. There's been an increase in students, and they're basically looking at how can we make sure that we have enough hours in the day, hours in the week, basically, to make sure that everybody gets taught. So one of the things that's being consulted through university governance is around, do we increase the teaching day beyond 5:30 or 6 o'clock, depending on which day of the week you're talking about. Really, this is to, at really early doors, set the student position on this, which is to say that we oppose any teaching beyond 6 o'clock for a multitude of reasons. It'd be foolish of me to try and put a list for how many reasons why this is a bad idea. But if anybody has any questions, again, feel free to ask.
Yes, are there any questions for Chris? No? Okay, thank you very much. I don't know what we'll do without you next year, if there'll even be any motions. Rowan's got big motion shoes to fill. So, is there anyone wishing to speak for this motion? And anyone wishing to speak against? Okay, so for the final time today, we will move on to a vote. And like I said, this one just needs 50% to pass. So that has passed, and that is our final motion of the academic year. So I'm going to get up now, and well, you won't need the gavel, but I will hand over to Errol as we move on to our open debate, because I'm going to propose this one. So you can have the chair if you want, if you want to feel a bit special.
Professional, yes. Right. Oh, this is comfortable. Anyway. Go for it.
Okay, so when we were thinking of what we should do for our last open debate of the year, we wanted to do something light-hearted, something that would get everyone involved. And my suggestion was, has Avril Lavigne died and been replaced by a clone? But apparently I've contributed so little that we're not allowed to do that one. So instead, I thought I'd pose, rather than a bit more of a conversation with you about what advice you would give to yourself as a fresher. I know some of you are still in first year, but you're coming to the end of that now. I myself, I'm coming to the end of my second year here. When I was in first year, when I was applying for my accommodation, I put St Mary's as my #1 choice. So I guess my main advice to myself would be don't. That's a joke, I actually really did like living in St Mary's, even though I only had one flatmate by the end of the year because everyone else hated it. But I think the things I'd mainly say to myself was, I did come to council all the time in my first year, and I think I spoke maybe once or twice. Which is why actually I didn't run for re-election this year, because sitting up here, watching all of you guys give your opinions just made me super jealous. Like, I thought, okay, why didn't I say anything in first year, and why am I sitting here now still unable to say anything? So that's, I guess, the main thing I would say to myself, is to just be a bit more confident and get your voice heard a bit more. But I'm going to open it up to you guys. What is the advice you would give to yourself in first year? No, it's not me. Sorry, Errol, you need to.
Hi guys, Andrew Lister, President of I think 3 weeks of advice I'd mainly give myself. The first is throw yourself into absolutely everything straight away. Like, just get involved. Do things that you're passionate about. So mental health for me was a big passion, but I didn't really get involved in Mind the Gap until sort of second year. Really just throw yourself at it. And the third thing is, I can't actually remember it, so never mind. Third thing, look after your memory maybe? Oh no, look after your mental health, that was it. Like, there's going to be bad times. I got it guys, I got it. There's going to be bad times, like accept that, but also look after it and, you know, be part of the community. Hold that with your mental health. Okay?
Anyone else? I mean, no need to rush at once. Go on.
Hi, my name's Jordan. My advice to myself would be any place that offers a £1.75 meal deal should probably be avoided.
Lovely. I mean, yeah, go on.
3 trips for a fiver, that's not actually a thing, you're not going to find that anywhere. Probably not that.
Anyone else?
Mine isn't like as funny, but just don't underestimate freshers flu, because mine like turned into a chest infection and made me miss like the first 3 weeks of lectures.
Yeah.
No. It was like, you know how like the first like 2 weeks of like first semester everyone's like coughing. I was the one like lone person in anthropology lectures who sounded like some kind of like dying animal. Like I still went because I'm a nerd, but like when I could, but yeah, it was not enjoyable. Yeah, and pretty much the not eating like really like awfully like cheap food, and also teach your friends to cook, because I realised around Christmas that one of my friends had basically been living off pot noodles, and I was like, oh Christ, it's just, I'm not letting you get scurvy, like, come on. So yeah, that's basically it.
I mean, I'm going to chip in here. Why not break protocol? May as well. But my thought being, this is the second time I've been a fresher, technically. I was an undergrad student, graduating, I'm a master's student. My advice to myself would be, don't wait until the second time you're a fresher to do things. Like, I spent the first 3 years of uni just kind of pottering about doing this and that, and then this year I've done practically everything. Literally everything. If I could have spread them out over 3 years, that would have been great, but didn't get to do that.
I guess if that's everyone, I will sum up. Oh, it's not, never mind. Sorry.
Save money about to be broke.
Put some money away.
Just do it.
So on that theme of saving money, I lived in Ricky Road and there was that Londis there, and never ever buy a Londis own brand toilet paper. How cheap it may seem.
I'm Fokker, president of Home Sorts Society. Don't underestimate, if people don't know about council, they really have no idea what you're talking about most of the time, and will not care about how hepped up you are about motions that are coming up the next week. So like, make friends in council, and make friends outside the council, bring them to council, so they know what you're talking about.
Probably speaking from experience, because they did that to me.
Yep.
I'm trying to do the shopping trolley, because carrying bags of shopping 2 miles isn't the best for your physique, so
Well, I steal one.
Is that? I think that's everyone.
Okay, I will sum up now. I think we've heard from the spectrum of student experience, save money, but not to the point where you're buying 175 meal deals. I just like to put it out there. I think the best meal deal is, okay, I know it's bougie, but I think it's Boots. It just is. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So yeah, I think we can all agree that the most important things to do when you're a fresher is to just have fun, do things you wouldn't normally do, but not with people who are contagious. And yeah, just have fun, I guess. Just live your life. Thanks so much. That's the end of the debate, I think. I'm stuck.
Do you want the chair back?
It's fine. It's not that deep.
You need to have this last chair. You need to. It is yours.
So it's everyone's favourite time. It's the raffle, but it's actually not. Sorry, I'm going to say something before. I'm not going to say anything embarrassing. Don't worry. But you might think that I just sort of rock up to council. It's like 6 times a year, and I just do nothing in between. Actually, a lot of hard work goes into making sure every council meeting goes smoothly, and the majority of that isn't done by me. It's done by 3 amazing people who do not get the credit they deserve. So I'd really like you all to join me in saying thank you to the amazing George, Angela, and Kay for everything they do, and I have a small token of my appreciation for you. Can I eat solid food yet? I don't know what babies are like. Thank you. Okay, that's it from me. It is the raffle now. So get your tickets ready. I will ask the wonderful Errol to draw. There, we do have 3 prizes this time. So we've got 2 £10 vouchers, which we'll do first, and the grand £20 prize. So Errol, if you'd like to.
I just want one. There we are. This one's meticulously folded. 831, 832, 833, 834, 835.
Yay, come to the front. Get your £10 voucher. Well done. Yeah, I've got them here. Congratulations. Don't spend it all at once. Okay, so we've got 1 more £10 voucher up for grabs. Errol, I will ask you to do the honours again.
There we go. Why don't we speak? 651, 652, 653, 654, 655? No one?
If it's not anyone, we'll just draw it again. Yeah.
781 782345.
Yay! And finally, the £20 voucher goes to
756 757
There you go.
I was just saying earlier, the fact I hadn't won one yet is clearly transphobia, so...
Yes! I'm not problematic! Another reason why I didn't run for election is I don't get a raffle ticket. So next time, every single time, I expect to be walking home with 20 quid in my back pocket. So this is the end of the last council of the year. If you didn't know, we are having a little after party in Men's Bar. The bubbly is going to arrive at 7, so you need to stick around downstairs for 45 minutes. As always, I have my £2 vouchers if you can't wait for the free stuff and want to pre before the English sparkling wine arrives. I would just like to say a huge thank you to all of you. You have made my job so easy this year. Diddy's waving at me.
Can I just quickly apologise to the chair and briefing protocols, just to reiterate how fantastic Sam has been as a chair, I'm sure we'll all agree, and how fantastic she's been to work with. So big
all so kind. You've made my job just so easy. Like, this has just been so stress-free, honestly. I have absolutely loved coming to every single one. And for those of you that are still here next year, see you next year. And to all of you, see you in Men's Bar as we leave. But don't forget, put your rubbish in the bin as you leave. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, no.